The return of Ty Borden in Heartland Season 19, Episode 1 is nothing short of miraculous, emotional, and life-changing for everyone at Heartland Ranch. For years, fans have mourned his absence, believing his journey had ended in tragedy. But in a shocking twist that no one saw coming, Ty Borden is back, and his homecoming is filled with tears, disbelief, and heart-wrenching reunions. As he steps back into the world he left behind, he must face the overwhelming emotions of the people who loved him most: Amy, Lindy, Jack, Georgie, Lou, and Tim. But how does his return even happen? How does Amy process this impossible reality? What is Lindy's reaction when she meets the father she never knew? And most importantly, how does Ty explain everything to Amy, the love of his life, the woman who thought she had lost him forever? This episode is an emotional roller coaster one that redefines love, resilience, and the true meaning of home. Today, we're breaking down every heartfelt moment, every tearful reunion, and the powerful conversation between Ty and Amy that will change everything. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Next Flying for more Heartland content. Now, let's get into it. Amy had spent the morning in the stables, her hands gently brushing through the mane of Spartan, the horse that had been with her through every high and low in life. The air was crisp, and the scent of hay mixed with the familiar warmth of home. She had long accepted that her life had changed forever. Ty was gone, and she had to be strong for Lindy. But just as she led Spartan back toward the pasture, a strange sensation washed over her, something she hadn't felt in years. A presence. A feeling deep in her soul that something was about to change. When she turned toward the front of the ranch, her entire world shifted. There, standing a few feet away, was Ty Borden. At first, Amy couldn't move. Her breath hitched in her throat, her heart pounded violently, and her hands began to tremble. Was she seeing things? Was this a cruel trick her mind was playing on her? The sun illuminated his face, his hair slightly longer than she remembered, his body leaner, but his eyes, the same deep, soulful eyes, locked onto hers. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. Ty, the word barely left her lips, a whisper carried away by the wind. Ty took a step forward. Then, another. His expression was unreadable, a mix of longing, fear, and regret. Amy wanted to run to him, to touch him, but at the same time, she was terrified that if she did, he would disappear like a dream. Tears welled in her eyes, threatening to spill over. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Ty spoke. "Amy, it's me." That was all it took. Amy stumbled forward, her legs barely able to carry her. Her hands reached out, shaking uncontrollably as she touched his face. He was real, the warmth of his skin, the roughness of his jawline, the steady rise and fall of his chest. It was all real. A strangled sob escaped her lips as she finally let the dam break, tears streaming down her face. And before she could say anything else, Ty pulled her into his arms. The embrace was desperate, raw, and filled with years of unspoken pain and love. He buried his face in her hair as she clung to him, sobbing uncontrollably. "I thought I lost you," she choked out between gasps, her hands gripping the back of his jacket. Ty held her tighter, his own tears slipping down his face. "I never stopped trying to come back to you." For a moment, time stood still. The world around them faded, and all that remained was Amy and Ty reunited at last. As Amy struggled to comprehend the miracle in front of her, the episode takes us back in time, revealing the shocking truth behind Ty's disappearance. It turns out that after the wolf attack, Ty had been in critical condition. Doctors discovered a rare complication, and he was placed in a specialized medical program in another state, one that focused on experimental treatment. His injuries were far more severe than anyone knew, and there was only a slim chance of survival. Unbeknownst to Amy, Jack, and Tim were secretly informed of his condition. But the doctors had warned them, "Do not give Amy false hope unless we are absolutely certain he will recover." For years, Ty had been in and out of treatment, fighting for his life, regaining his strength, and, most heartbreakingly, losing his memory. There was a period when he didn't even know who he was, let alone that he had a family waiting for him. But as the years passed, his mind began to heal. The moment he remembered Amy, Lindy, and Heartland, he knew her. He needed to return home. He's now here. But can things ever return to their previous state? A soft voice interrupts the emotional embrace between Ty and Amy as they stand. Mommy? Lindy is standing in the doorway when Amy turns around. The youngster's inquisitive eyes darted between her mother and the odd man. When Ty looks at her, the daughter he never got to hold or watch grow up, his breath gets caught in his throat. Amy sits down and wipes her tears away. She whispers, Lindy, sweetheart. Come here. Lindy hesitates, her small hands clutching the edge of the door. What is his name? She inquires softly. With his heart pounding against his ribs, Ty takes a step forward. His voice cracks, Lindy. I'm your father. Silence for a brief moment. Lindy then slowly moves toward him in a move that breaks everyone's heart. She gives him careful attention. She then wraps her arms around him without speaking. Ty weeps as he falls to his knees and clings to her tightly. As tears well up in her eyes, Amy watches while covering her mouth. She never imagined this would be the moment. Finally, Lindy whispers, I knew you would return. Ty lets out a choked laugh, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. He promises, I'll never leave you again. As she watches the most beautiful and heartbreaking reunion unfold in front of her, Amy wipes away more tears. Heartland's rock had always been Jack Bartlett. He never let his emotions get the better of him, as he stood tall through every storm, heartbreak, and loss. But as he walked out of the barn, brushing the dust off his hands, and saw Ty Borden standing in the middle of the yard, his entire world came to a sudden halt. He couldn't move. He simply stared, his breath caught in his throat, his heart hammering against his ribs. A feeling he hadn't felt in a long time filled his tired old eyes, which had seen so much loss this lifetime. Shock, disbelief. Additionally, a long-buried hurt. Jack's weathered hands clenched at his sides as he took a slow, measured step forward, his voice rough and uncertain. Ty. He felt like he was speaking a foreign language when he said the name, as if saying it out loud would alter the delicate reality in front of him. Ty took a big swallow and clenched his jaw as he looked at Jack. It's me, Jack. That was all it required. Jack's entire body trembled. For the first time in a long time, his eyes filled with tears. As he took another shaky step forward, his breath caught. He mumbled, his voice breaking from years of sorrow and regret. I buried you. I put flowers on your grave, son. Ty's throat got tighter. He had imagined this moment over and over again, but nothing could prepare him for the raw pain in Jack's voice. I know, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I know what you went through, you guys. Also, I am so sorry. With his feelings bubbling to the surface, Jack sucked hard. He had seen Ty as a grandson, a son, a part of this family. Losing him had nearly broken him. And now, he was standing right in front of him. Without another word, Jack pulled Ty into a tight, bone-crushing embrace. His strong arms worn by years of work wrapped around Ty, as if making sure he was real. Solid, alive. His chest heaved as he closed his eyes, allowing himself this moment of pure relief. You don't know how much we've missed you, Jack whispered, his voice hoarse. Ty's grip on Jack tightened. Jack, I missed you as well. Jack let himself cry for the first time in a very long time. Lou had been in the main house, going over some business calls, when she heard Amy's voice break outside, filled with something unrecognizable. She rushed to the window, her brows furrowing in confusion. And that's when she saw him. Ty. Her entire body became numb. The phone slipped from her fingers, landing on the floor with a thud. Her hand flew to her mouth as a choked sob escaped her lips. No, she whispered to herself. This can't be real. Her breath came in shallow gasps as she stumbled back, her head spinning. For years, Lou had watched her sister grieve, struggle, and rebuild her life without Ty. She had cried with Amy, helped her pick up the pieces. And even though she had never admitted it out loud, she had also lost a brother. And now he was here. Just like that. Her legs moved before her mind. Her breath caught in her throat as she sprinted out the front door with her heart racing. She felt joy, pain, and disbelief all at once, forming a storm she was unable to control. Lou muttered, "Oh my God," her voice shaking as she scrutinized the man standing in front of her. He didn't look the same, older, thinner, and more worn, but it was him. Ty was it. Her mind raced to make sense of the inconceivable as she stood frozen for a heartbeat. She then launched herself at him, her arms tightly encircling his body in a desperate, tear-soaked embrace, as if pulled by something deep and undeniable. She cried, her voice breaking with a mix of rage and relief. "You idiot! Are you aware of the ordeal you put us through?" Ty let out a strangled laugh, thick with emotion. He held her just as tightly and his own eyes sparkled. "I am aware, Lou. I know. And I am truly sorry." Lou retreated just enough for her to be able to see his face through her tears. She whispered, "We thought you were dead. We wept for you." Jack, Amy, and Lindy all did. Overwhelmed by the avalanche of memories and pain, she shook her head and let out a cracking sound. Ty gently cupped her shoulder with his hand. "I didn't stop thinking about you at all. About each and every one of you," he said in a rough but honest voice. Lou gave a weak, weeping smile after sniffing and wiping her eyes. "Well, Ty Borden, you better have a damn good explanation. Because you won't just have to answer to Amy." Ty nodded and let out a small, shaky laugh. "I wouldn't expect anything less." In the meantime, Georgie had just paid a brief visit to Heartland and had no idea that everything was about to change. She had only just stepped out of the car when she heard the voices raised, emotional, familiar. Inquisitive, she walked around the truck before abruptly stopping. Her heart plummeted. The globe shifted. Lou was sobbing uncontrollably, Amy was holding someone, and Jack was standing there like a statue, stunned and silent. Then she noticed him with her eyes, Ty. Her chest tightened. Her hands violently shook. It simply cannot be. This had to be a cruel illusion, a dream, a trick of her tired mind. Ty was gone. He had vanished for many years. But he was there. She was unable to move. Emotion surged in her throat as her chest tightened and her feet were firmly planted on the ground. In crashing waves, she recalled Ty's intervention in her life when she needed it most. How he had become the closest thing she had ever had to a father, challenged her, comforted her, and believed in her. After that, the moment she was informed that he would never return. She whispered Ty, her voice breaking apart like ice. He turned at once, his gaze locking onto hers. His eyes softened, and fresh tears welled. "Georgie," he said, barely more than a breath. That was all it required. Georgie ran to him and wept bitterly. She threw herself into his arms and cried uncontrollably as she let out years of pain and longing. Her body was shaking. "You left us," she cried. "We had to learn to live without you after you left us?" With his own tears now flowing freely, Ty held her tightly. "I know. Additionally, I regret not being there. However, I never stopped loving you, not even once." Georgie buried her face in his chest and let out a trembling breath. "I have so much missed you." Ty kissed the top of her head, his voice gentle and full of remorse. "Kid, I missed you as well." Each day. Tim then appeared. Tim Fleming had never been one to wear his heart on his sleeve. He was guarded, rough around the edges, and the kind of person who built walls rather than tore them down. But something in him changed when he stepped onto the porch and saw Ty still alive standing there. He froze. He clenched his jaw. His fists curled at his sides. He battled anger, disbelief, grief, and something far more vulnerable within. Because when Ty died, it had felt like losing another son. Tim came forward with a gritty, thick voice. "You've got a lot of explaining to do, kid. Ty nodded solemnly. I'm aware, Tim. Tim's lips formed a sharp line, and for a split second, it appeared as though he might leave. However, something suddenly broke. His shoulders dropped, and with a quiet sigh, he moved closer, wrapping Ty in a rough but heartfelt hug. Welcome home, son. And just like that, the Heartland family, battered, broken, but never truly lost, was whole again. Ty Borden's return to Heartland is about more than just returning. It involves restoring everything he once owned. His romance with Amy, his bond with Lindy, his daughter, and the enduring bonds that kept this family together even through the worst times. But what comes next? Can Amy and Ty truly reconnect with one another? What kind of response will Lindy give to the father she barely remembers? Additionally, will Ty be able to adjust to a life without him? What do you think of this heartfelt and eagerly anticipated return? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section. And for more heartfelt stories, emotional updates, and all things Heartland, be sure to subscribe to our channel next door. Stay tuned, there's so much more to come.